Big B.
Betty works in a hospital. She isn't a doctor and she isn't a nurse. She helps the nurses. She plays with the boys and girls. She reads them stories. She talks to them and sometimes she helps them with their dinner. Everyone calls her Big Betty. It's Monday. Nurse Cathy is talking to Big Betty. Helen is in bed 15. Her operation was on Saturday, says Nurse Cathy. She must stay in bed. The little boy in bed 9 has tummy pain. His name is Patrick. Hello, says Betty. I'm Big Betty. You must be Helen. Helen nods. Are you a nurse? You have a funny uniform. No, I'm not a nurse, Big Betty answers. I help the nurses. What are you reading? It's a book about horses. I like horses, but last week I fell off a horse and it kicked my head, says Helen. Oh dear, that's awful, says Betty. But your head will soon get better. Let's play a game of memory. Betty takes a pack of cards out of her bag. Helen and Big Betty play 4 games of memory. Helen wins 3 times. I'm not very good at memory, says Big Betty and laughs. You win. You see, there's nothing wrong with your head. She opens her bag and takes out a small plastic horse. Here is your prize. Betty gives the horse to Helen and goes over to Patrick's bed. Hello, Patrick. I'm Big Betty. How are you today? I have a pain in my tummy, says Patrick. But I'm hungry and I want something to eat. I can get you a drink of water, says Big Betty. I don't want water. I want something to eat, says Patrick. I'm sorry, you can't eat today, says Big Betty. The doctors want to do some tests. I don't care. I'm hungry, says Patrick. Big Betty opens her bag and takes out a book. Let's read a story, she says. So Big Betty reads a story to Patrick. It is such a good story that Patrick soon forgets he is hungry. Big Betty goes to the next room. She sees a little girl crying. What's the matter, Aisha? Asks Big Betty. I don't want to have an X-ray, says Aisha. But the doctors want to find out what's wrong with your heart. Then they can help you, says Big Betty. My heart is okay, says Aisha. Does an X-ray hurt? No, it doesn't hurt, says Big Betty. It's just a big camera. Look, I have a camera here. Big Betty opens her bag and takes out a camera. Smile for the camera. Big Betty takes a photo of Aisha. That didn't hurt, did it? No, says Aisha. That didn't hurt. Hello, Aisha. Hello, Big Betty. It's the twins, Stefano and Marco. Marco pushes Stefano's wheelchair up to Aisha's bed. Stefano has 2 broken legs. He fell off the roof of the garage at home. Marco is in hospital because Stefano and Marco do everything together. Stefano has a stethoscope around his neck. Stefano, where did you find that stethoscope? It's not a toy, says Big Betty. Dr. Jones forgot it, says Stefano. We must give it back, says Big Betty. But I want to listen to Marco's heart, says Stefano. Big Betty opens her bag and takes out a toy stethoscope. Here, you can have this one, she says. It works too. Wow, thanks. That's great, says Stefano. I want to listen too, says Aisha. Betty goes to the playroom. Let's play a game of beetle, she says to the children in the room. Big Betty opens her bag and takes out some paper, some pencils and a dice. She also takes out a picture of a beetle with numbers on it. Betty gives a piece of paper and a pencil to each child. You roll the dice and then draw the parts of the beetle. First, you need a 6, so you can draw the body. Then you need a 5 for the head, and so on, says Betty. She gives the dice to John. You go first, John. John rolls the dice. I've got a 5, he says. Well, with a 5 you can draw a head, but you can't draw a head yet because you haven't got a body, says Big Betty. Sally rolls the dice next. She gets a 6 and draws a body. The children take turns to roll the dice. Soon, Peter's beetle is almost finished. He rolls the dice and gets a 1. Now I can draw all the legs, Peter says. No, with a 1 you can draw 1 leg. To finish your beetle, you must roll 6 ones, says Big Betty. It is 5 o'clock. Big Betty is tired. So many children, so many stories to read, so many games to play, so many games to lose. Big Betty sits down for a little rest. It's dinner time in 5 minutes. She always helps the children with their dinner. Then she goes home to her cat, Sammy. Suddenly, there is a loud noise outside in the corridor. What is it? Big Betty opens the door. Stefano and Marco have syringes full of water. They are squirting water at Peter and John. Peter and John are very wet. Stefano, Marco, stop that! It's dangerous, says Betty. Big Betty goes over to Marco and Stefano. Give me those syringes, she says. Suddenly, she slips on the wet floor and falls. Ouch! She cries. Marco and Stefano look very worried. Are you okay, Big Betty? They ask. I don't know, but my hand and my leg hurt a lot. Go and find a nurse, Big Betty says. Quickly. I'm bored, says Helen. Where's Big Betty? Why isn't she here? Perhaps she's on holiday, says Aisha. Don't be silly. She can't go on holiday when we're in hospital, says Sally. Just then, Nurse Cathy comes into the room. Nurse Cathy, says Sally, where's Big Betty? Well, says Nurse Cathy. Yesterday, Big Betty broke her leg and her wrist. Stefano and Marco had a water fight and she slipped and fell. Oh no, says Aisha. Stefano and Marco look ashamed. I'm sorry, says Stefano. I'm sorry too, says Marco. Is she in this hospital? Can we visit her? Asks Helen. All right, says Nurse Cathy. She's in room 14. Knock, knock. Come in, says Big Betty. The doors open and the children come in. Betty is in bed. Her leg and her wrist are in plaster. Hello, Big Betty, says Stefano and Marco. We're sorry about the water fight. Well, you'll have to read a story to me now, says Big Betty. She smiles. Who wants to read to me? Stefano and Marco look worried. All the children look worried. Betty laughs. Or do you want me to read you a story? Yes, please, all the children say. So the children sit down on the beds and on the floor. Big Betty opens her bag, takes out a book and begins to read. Once upon a time...